which is the real cruncher, if he then behaves in a completely insane and bestial way, it is the woman's fault. That is clearly nonsense. Nagging is not a capital crime. The big mistake that has been made, and I'm serious about this, is the extension of the provocation defense to cover women who kill their spouses after protracted abuse. That should never have happened. The provocation defense should have been struck down, and the crimes of women who have been systematically abused and brutalized should be assessed under a completely different legal system. The provocation defense is not acceptable in any civilized country.
Okay, number 3.
Go back to the topic of female genital cutting.
Really? Sorry. I have a feeling the panel doesn't want to go back to that.
Well, it's in a different context. So I want to ask the panel, and Jermaine did mention it briefly, bless her cotton socks, about female genital cutting that happens in the Western world on intersex babies when they're born. And basically they're born ambiguous, and they're made to be either unambiguously male or female through surgical and hormonal techniques, and that often involves some of the same cutting that that FGC is what happens in other countries that we
okay,
criticise.
2 sentences. What's the question?
So my question to the panel is why have feminists condemned FGC in other countries but not looked at the own cutting that happens in our own culture? And how can we as feminists support the intersex movement?
So now I'm going to get cranky, with all due respect. So first I'm going to say I've got a chapter on labial surgery in my upcoming book, and right? But I guess I want to take this moment to say there's a bad, I'm sorry, I don't mean to aim this at you, I just want to say it to the universe. There's this not good thing we have as women where we keep assigning the role of leadership to someone else. And, you know, we're exhausted. I mean, I can't speak for you. I'm exhausted. You know, you're soon to be exhausted. I'm sure you're exhausted. You're fighting a war.
I'm already there.
Yeah.
I'm certainly exhausted.
Yeah, and well, where I'm going with this is that I hear this all the time. Naomi, you haven't addressed this. You haven't addressed that. All of you are leaders. All of you have voices. All of you have authority. All of you have responsibilities. So you write that book. Okay, you write that book. You educate us.
Okay, I'm going to go to another question.
I just wanted to ask one more question about universal rights and the Enlightenment thing. And who decides what a universal right is? And how does it take into account that experiences aren't universal? I know someone mentioned motherhood previously, but one thing that strikes me is that whether or not they choose to, only women can get pregnant and give birth. And I don't see how that cannot be covered by rights, but those rights can't be universal because they are specific to women. So who settles on what applies to everyone and what doesn't?
So I guess I have to take this very quickly because I introduced the subject. And what I would say is I don't believe in anyone imposing these definitions on other entities. But I do think that the definition of universal rights in the Declaration of Independence and the Bill of Rights of the United States, which has been imitated around the world and used around the world by indigenous people and people struggling for national sovereignty,